Welcome back to Norrath. We're starting off the episode in the city of Quinos today, and last time you remember we took a look at my new cathedral behind me here in the Roman style, and I teased that the colossus over there behind my shoulder here was finished, and I think we're going to go take a look at that, and then after that we are going to take a little boat ride up to the barbarian city of Halas in the far northern regions over there behind me. And there's quite a lot to show you up there as well. But before we get over to the Colossus, let's fly over Quinos for a minute. One of the things I need to do around here is to start working on some of the housing developments, because as you can see, I've marked all these streets out here in white, and they need to be filled in with something eventually. As you've seen in other cities, I will start with sort of the ground level frame, and then I will later on add up the higher stories on top of that. But I haven't even done that because I don't have the reference models for this yet, because I'm not really sure in what direction I want to go. I know we need to go in a Roman direction, that's very obvious. But beyond that, I think for materials, I obviously need to use quite a lot of cobble and diorite, but I'm also thinking about using primarily a lot of brick in these as well, and sort of maybe mix up the styles of those. And speaking of styles, I'm going to be replacing this Roman archway over here with a better model that I have made that you have recently seen. I made that tutorial on a Roman triumphal arch, and I'm going to be putting that one here for the northern entrance into northern Quinos. Now if we go around here, I'm thinking also about maybe bending some of the streets around here as well. And you can see an example of this here at the Colosseum in Quinos. This is the smaller module of Colosseum that I have constructed. I've already done the tutorial on the large one, but I also made a smaller one over here and a smaller theater as well. And I need to update, I think, both of these models. That needs an awning, and this needs a better stage, I think. I can do better than just that right there. I can probably push out some of this wall and add a bit more up there, I think. But in southern Quinos is most of the residential and commercial areas are going to be marked out here. I wanted to have a sort of a traditional Roman grid system, but also have the decumanus and the cardo coming through here as well. And I think that that's all going to take quite a while to get together. Now, since we are over in the harbor here, let's actually take a look at the Colossus. So, this is a project that you know I have been working on for Quinos for quite a while now, and it is finally finished in all of its detail. I will do a tutorial on this statue at some point, but it is going to be 100 blocks tall, which means 100 phases, so it's going to be quite an undertaking to do this, not only to make the video, but also for you to build the thing. As you can see, it is made primarily out of gold, and in my texture pack this is gold, and red nether brick, and bedrock, obsidian, and a bit of plain stone here for the skin of the statue, the parts here that are not covered in armor. I've been wanting to build one of these statues for quite a long time. I've always seen those old engravings where they would have the 7 wonders of the ancient world, and for the Colossus of Rhodes they would always have the statue standing over the entrance to the harbor, and I just could not resist. I had to build one of those in Norrath someplace, and Quinos is the place that I have chosen to do that. And as you can see, as we pass by the shield here, it has a Spartan chevron incised on it, which means that this is indeed a Spartan hoplite statue. I know this is a Roman city, but that doesn't mean that we can't have a Spartan hoplite statue, because the Romans would always look up to the ancient Spartans, I think. So they would want one of those statues in their city. Of course, we have a number of other smaller statues of regular legionaries. But let's go down here towards the water some and show you the entrance down here with all the reflections and everything. So if we were on a ship and we were sailing into Quinos Harbor, we would have to go underneath the feet of the statue down here to enter the harbor proper. And of course, if we were an enemy ship, the statue would of course come to life and use its spear to smash our boat. At least that is the local legend around here. All the locals say that, but they never actually seen it happen. But before we get away from this, let's take a real close look at this. So I can show you just how I put it together. I have used a couple of sea lanterns here for the eyes, so they would be nice and glowy. Of course, we have the traditional headdress up here at the top. We, of course, have a diamond-tipped spear, a Spartan bedrock shield. Of course, we've got bracers on each of the arms, a nice chest plate with little details here showing sort of the abs and chest muscles, which are always, I think, in general, those were always sort of molded into the ancient breastplates, as near as I can tell. And we've got a belt here with some protective armor over the leg plates. And of course, down here we have the feet protected by a nice sturdy pair of boots. And as you can see, the statue itself is not sitting flat. He's sort of rearing up here and projecting his spear with force out in this direction. I think whenever I do the tutorial for this statue, I'm going to actually add a base for this down there. I quite like the one that I saw in the old Age of Empires video game, if any of you have ever played that. If you remember the Greek Wonder, this is also partly some inspiration that I took for this exact shape. Because if you remember, I had to search for quite a while before I found a 3D model of this that I liked, and from that I was able to retexture everything and get it in these shapes here, but it's taken quite a while to do that. So we will leave the Colossus behind for now, because we have to go over to the northern section of the harbor, because as you can see, we have some Viking longships actually sitting in the harbor over here. One of them with blue sails and one of them with red sails. So if we land here, so let's just take a look at these a little bit closer. You will also notice I have gone and added down here the piers for all the wooden sections of the harbor. That's a recent addition, along with all the little stairs here. So as you can see, if you remember from the old videos, if you want to know how I put together these harbors, I will make the stone part first, and then I will come along and add these wooden sort of piers down here beside those. And this is done so the ships won't directly hit the stone port and damage either the port or probably more so the ship itself. So we have some Viking longships here, as you can clearly see. These particular ones don't have any oars. The oars are all drawn inboard on these. But we do have some sails and some sort of dragon head shaped prows at the front here, a little curly one at the back. But if we land on this, we will see that we have a chiseled stone brick here and a button. And I haven't added the sign yet, but this is going to be where we can leave Quinos and actually travel to Halas. And we can do that now by boat. We no longer have to take the overland route or travel up the Serpent Spine River out there in Kirana. We can actually click the button here, and we will be teleported to the following location. We can see that we are on another identical copy of the blue boat we were still on. So it sort of gives you the illusion that we have left the port, but we are still on the boat. And of course, we're doing this by means of sort of a daisy chain connected of these boats together. We look off on the distance here to port. We can see that we have another ship over there in the distance, just barely visible. It has a red sail, and which means that the red sails, by the way, take you from Halas back to Quinos, back down there. But the blue sails will take you from Quinos to Halas. So let's actually take a look around here at the coastlines. And I want to have a lot of boats in Norrath that will do this. This is just the first one in the sequence. And as you can see, we have a nice view of the coast over here to the starboard. And to the port over here, we can see that we have a tropical island off over there in the distance as well. And we can't see it anymore, but just out of render range over there is Quinos, which we just left. So, if we continue on our nautical journey, we will be teleported to another location. And let's take a look around here while everything loads in. We have another island over here to the port. And back over here to our stern, we can actually see another red ship over there. I believe that is the red ship that we saw off in the distance, if I'm not mistaken. Over here to the starboard, we can see that things are looking a little bit more chilly. As we get to the northern regions, indeed, things are going to get very chilly. Because we can see over here we have some snow-covered trees, but a little bit farther to the south we have trees that are free of the snow. And even farther to the south, the snow lines on the mountains here, they get farther up as well. And I tried to integrate that to make Norrath feel that extra bit more realistic. So if we continue our journey with another button press, and to wait for things to load in, we can see that we have some bioluminescent kelp down there on the ocean floor. And off to our starboard here, we can see that things are looking very chilly indeed. We have all those snow-covered pointy pine trees. And it looks like the entire coast is actually covered in snow as we head farther to the north. So let us press yet one more button. And this will take us again even farther north. This is the second, this is almost the last ship actually. Because as we look to the bow up here, we can see Halas off in the distance here, just coming into view. There's the harbor up there at Halas that we're going to be docking at. But this passage up here is very treacherous, because as you can see, we have a lot of floating ice around here on the sea now. We're in the farthest northern regions of Norrath, so it is indeed very cold. And it is so cold that we can actually see over here to the port, we have the northern ice caps. And of course, if you remember when I showcased these go all the way along the northern and southern regions of Norrath, all the way from corner to corner of the map, all 18,500 blocks off in either direction here. And it is indeed so cold that we can see that these islands over here, they're not only covered with ice, but as you can barely see, the trees are actually frozen solid. They become sort of ice spikes over here. It is so incredibly cold. But as you can see, the passage getting through here is quite narrow, but it is quite treacherous, I said, because of all the floating ice. Because if we hit one of those icebergs, we have no watertight compartments on this boat, so it would definitely go straight down. So let's, without ado, let's click one more button. And we have arrived here at the harbor in Halas. So you can see that our sail has been raised because we are in the harbor. And we can actually disembark over here on this little plank. And we can get on the harbor jetties here. So let's actually take a look at some more of these Viking ships. The ones without the shields that we came up here on, these are sort of trading vessels, but the ones with the shields on the side here, these are more warships. That's what I intend them to be. And we have a couple of different sizes of ships. I think we have about 3 sizes. And they each have a warship variant to them. Some of them have double sails, but the rest of them only have single sails. And as I've said, these Viking ships, I remodeled them from ships that someone else had built because I really liked what they had done, but I didn't like all of it, so I ended up tearing half of it away and rebuilding and remodeling them. And that is what I have done for these here. Let's actually take a higher look up. So, as you can see, the port here is not the biggest port, and that is because the barbarians here are not really known for their ocean-going abilities, or rather, they're not really known for their commercial abilities, as I've said, because they have a lot of warships here, but they don't have all that many commercial trading vessels. That's not really what they're into, and they sort of build ships as they need them. And if they don't need them, then they just don't have them lying around. So we have some buildings out here in the harbor area. Actually, walk around these just a little bit. Now, all of these designs for these are mostly repeating patterns because, as you can see, they are all timber-framed houses, and they're done out of dark woods and spruce, and they all have the same sort of roof materials here with the obsidian and the red nether brick. I may come along here later and change some of the roof colors to differentiate them, but if we go through the gateway here into Halas proper, we can wander around the twisty and turny and very frozen and cold streets. I don't really know which way to go. I sort of placed all these buildings in here at random. This is sort of how I tend to build my cities. I will make several passes over them, and the first pass here is me coming around and placing all of these structures. Over here, I think we have one of many taverns. We'll take a look at another one of those later. But here we have narrow Viking and medieval type streets is the feel that I wanted to go for here, so you could feel like that you could easily get lost in the city and wander around it for days. And let's fly up a little here, because I think you get the point of what we're going for with the streets. I think over here we are near the main gateway, if you will remember. This is the overland gateway. If we wanted to come up from Halas, come up from Quinos down there in the south via the river or overland, we would have to come up this way, and that would be the main entrance to Halas is over here. And let me just back away a little bit so you can see some of the skyline of the city. And since previous times, I have added a little, or sort of an ornamental tower over here as well. I've tried to do all these roofs in a very Nordic and Viking type style. I really want this place up here to remind you a lot of Skyrim. Actually, some of you have probably already thought about that. Maybe like a Windtime, or maybe a little bit of Whiterun. Places like that. Because I definitely want Halas to have a really good Skyrim type vibe. Especially when I'm done with everything. But all the roofs up here, you can see that they are just plain at the moment, but I do need to, at some point, probably in the far future, come around here by hand and sort of add little patches of snow and everything on those as well. These also need a lot of chimneys to put in these also. That's one thing that needs to be added to all of these rooms. Because as I've said, it is very cold up here. And, of course, the barbarians want to be warm inside their homes. Can't be frigid and cold all the time. Now, we can see that there also are some central towers here. These are sort of a central keep, I think, that are designed to fit inside these little mountains here. Now, these weren't really in EverQuest. These are sort of my additions and embellishments. But I do hope you like the shape of them. Some of the wood here is really dark, so it might be kind of hard to see, but I think against the sky, you will be able to make things out decently well and get the shape of things. For some of these roofs, I tried to replicate sort of those, I think they're called like stave churches. Somewhere in Russia, I believe, is what I saw. In some of the images that I was looking for, they had sort of these shapes on them. I really liked that. And I wanted to put some of that into Halas up here. There are only a couple of interiors finished. All of these buildings, they are just hollow shells at the moment, except for some of these here. And of course, we have a central clearing in this area, because if you will remember from EverQuest, there is a PvP arena in this area in Halas, and that's what this frozen patch of ground is meant to be. I'm probably going to put some seats around here as I continue to build up and develop this area. But also here, I need to go in and show you. I think I've neglected to install a door, as usual. So we're just going to break one of the windows open here and go in this way, because we have a Viking mead hall in here as well. And I've done this with sort of a medieval hammer beam roof. Well, rather a ceiling up here. And that is in general what this pattern is called here, with sort of the half arches on either side and then the central arch in the middle here. It's called a hammer beam style. I sort of stole the idea of this from, I believe, Westminster Hall is a good example of that, if you want to look it up to see one of those. But we have a large, generous space, and somewhere around here I imagine we're going to have like a large table. Probably several large tables with food and everything. You have to imagine this is sort of, this would be sort of like a Sovngarde from Skyrim, if you remember that place. The big mead hall in there where they were having sort of the celebration and the Viking songs and the fires and all the smoked meats and the cheeses and all that good stuff. That's what I have in mind for that room. There's going to be a couple of those. This is one. I already showed you the other one previously. But yeah, this is so far what I have for the barbarian city of Halas. And you will be able to come here and see all of this for yourself whenever I release the next version for a download, version 1.3, sometime this spring. It's going to be, the date is going to depend on when I feel I have made a sufficient amount of progress over the last download, because they do take some effort to create and get out to you, so I want to have more progress made in each one of those on all the various cities, so you can go around and have something to look at. But do let me know what you think about Halas so far. I'm quite pleased with how the city has come out. It's one of the more complete cities as far as having the roof on everything. But it is one of the more incomplete cities in that it doesn't have anything underground yet, and it only has a couple of interiors as well. So with that said, let's actually go back to Quinos, and we're going to do that by taking, of course, another boat. And we need to find this boat over here with the red sails that are down, and we want to embark on our boat here and bid farewell for the moment to Halas. We will, of course, be back in the future. And since we have now set sail, we can see that we are back on sort of the ocean up here with the frozen trees and the ice and everything. You can see off to the starboard here our ice wall over there. I do think that I am going to put sort of my own little version of Castle Black along one of these little islands and do a stairway up there for you to actually peek over the ice barrier for the polar ice caps if you want to. These go all the way up to the current Minecraft build height, by the way, and just beyond that is void. There's absolutely nothing for you to see over there. So let's go ahead and take another button and wait for things to load in, and we are traveling southwards again, so things are getting a little bit warm. The trees are no longer completely frozen. We can see over the bow here. Looks like we have another island over there. And let's go a little bit farther. We can see that we are quite a bit farther south. We have a tropical island over here. We can see our blue sail ship off in the distance. Remember the red ship that I pointed out? Well, we are now on that ship, and we are looking back towards the blue ship over there. But we can see some of the terrain and everything as we go along the way. That's why I've included not just one button press, because I wanted you to have a sort of a sense that you were going on a journey. And I wanted you to see quite a lot of the world through these little daisy chain ships that I'm going to be putting at various intervals on the ocean, just sort of dotting them around. But as you can tell, we have returned now to the Roman city of Quinos, so we will disembark and go back into the city itself over here. Well, that's going to be all the time we have for today. I hope you have enjoyed today's episode of Building Norrath, where I have shown you all the progress I've been making. In the next episode, we are actually going to take a tour of, I think, the Split Paw and the Blackburrow Knoll layers, as well as an update to the Thunder Rock Springs area. So it's going to be sort of a terrain-heavy episode, because I have made a lot of terrain and caverns that I have integrated into the world, and I really want to show them to you. I posted some of them on my Instagram already, and I don't think we'll be able to get to them all in one episode, but we have the Cavern of Achenon to go explore, and also the Crystal Caverns down on Velius. Well, we will be getting to that all in good time, so I want to thank you very, very much for watching, and I will see you next time.